Tasmania is home to some amazing people, and even though our communities may be remote, we are linked across the state by our hopes for a better future. But some Tasmanians experience targeted violence or hate crimes. These crimes hurt more because they tell people they do not belong or are not welcome. We can all play a role in changing this story and creating more inclusive communities.
I'm getting a little bit tired of people saying that racism doesn't exist in this country.
We could do something here in Tasmania because we are small and because we are so diverse.
I think it all comes down to education of the wider community.
We probably need more critically robust dialogues around what do we need to do, or what do communities want us to do.
I think government needs to play an active role if they want people to stay in Tasmania.
We know that social isolation is a really big risk factor for elder abuse.
The role of allies is so critical, not only in terms of racism, but all forms of targeted violence.
Hate crime or targeted violence is an act against the law and is motivated in whole or in part by bias, prejudice or hatred towards a group characteristic of the victim. Hate incidents are other acts that are motivated in whole or in part by bias, prejudice or hatred, but do not amount to a breach of the criminal law. People can be targeted because of their race, religion, ethnic or national origin, sexuality, disability, gender, age, housing status, or a combination of these characteristics.
Oh, it can look like it's well-meaning, it can look like it's terrifying, and a lot of people don't notice it.
Yep. We're hearing story after story of prejudice and racism in the community.
I have heard stories that when women, they go out in their hijab, eggs have been thrown on them. They have asked to go back to their countries.
I don't know if I'm going to be attacked. I don't know if I'm going to be hated.
There are a lot of assumptions about our identity before people even know us, and I think that can definitely manifest into a lot of racism.
And it can be slurs, it can be physical touching, it can be blocking, and it can be deliberately isolating and humiliating.
We hear a lot of different ranges of stories from people in community, vandalism to businesses, constant vandalism, and then stories that, nothing's being done about it. And I'm getting a little bit tired of, people saying that racism doesn't exist in this country.
But it's more common than you think. You've probably seen it and not realised.
Targeted violence affects the individual who is targeted, their community, and Australian society more generally. Individuals report feelings of depression, anxiety, anger, fear, and intimidation, as well as a diminished self-esteem. Hate crime sends a message to the targeted community that they are unwelcome and unsafe. This can cause members of that community to modify their behaviour, avoid certain places and people, or develop strategies to keep themselves safe.
They're scared. They think that if they will talk about their experiences, they can get picked up again, or they can be victim of, or they can be targeted again.
People don't go out. People avoid places that they'd like to go to. They only go to places at certain times.
People's self-worth and self-esteem are really affected by these preconceived ideas and the racism that we experience in day-to-day life.
In ways that lead to depression, suicidality, self-harm.
I've had friends suicide because of it. And And I've had family who've been totally destroyed by it. The awful part of this is that it happens and it happens and it happens, and we change our lives because of it.
Targeted violence is underreported to police, human rights agencies, and community organisations. Some victims are unsure whether it is worth reporting an incident or do not trust authorities to take matters seriously if they do report. Only some forms of hate crime have been the focus of research, which makes it difficult to know the full extent of the problem in Australia.
I feel that they have lost trust in the system because they say that they're not looked after.
It's very unclear at the moment where to go, what to do, what action to take. A lot of Aboriginal people don't really trust the police, just, because of the long history of that sort of stuff.
Then language, again, could be a barrier because they don't know where to go, what to do.
They have to go to a police station, which for some people may trigger them. It's a scary place for anyone to have to walk into a police station.
Some people think that, police are there to bully them. Other people are scared because their experience with the police in their own country was not good.
But I think what I really wanted to do was to go to the police and go, this is what happened to me. And I know you can't do anything about those people because I can't describe them, but I want you to know that it happens.
All targeted violence breaches human rights and denies human dignity. All forms of targeted violence demand a coordinated policy, law enforcement, educational and community response. When one community is made to feel unwelcome or blocked from full participation in public life, it is a problem for all of us.
We could do something here in Tasmania because we are small and because we are so diverse. We could do something really well because of, people knowing each other and those connections.
I think a Charter of Human Rights and all of the communications that would go with the establishment of that would be the best way of increasing community awareness of the rights of older people and all of the other people who experience targeted violence.
I really think having a Human Rights Act in Tasmania would benefit Apollo people immensely in relation to racism and targeted hate crimes.
I think government needs to play an active role if they want people to stay in Tasmania, because one of the reasons I have heard that people don't want to live in Tassie because they're not tolerant enough. They are not ready to accept migrants.
I think education plays a fundamental role in people moving forward and creating a safe environment for everyone. There are lots and lots of resources out there that you can access, and having conversations with community leaders and even family members, you can learn a lot.
What I'd really like to happen is that that our experiences are taken as fact and seriously, and that they need to be responded to, not in that kind of way, or here's 5 trips to the psychologist or whatever, but they need to be, solutions need to be made with us.
Educate yourself, educate others, raise awareness, show up. I think, having strong, not just allies, but accomplices for the Indigenous community is really, really important. Show up to January 26th, come support everyone, support Uncle Jimmy, do all of that because, we're stronger together.
Everybody deserves to live peacefully.
Let's own up to it as a country, and let's work on a way forward together, because I think that's the only way we're actually going to solve these issues.
Having that support around you is very important, and it could come from a friend, a neighbour, or your community, wider community. Maybe it could be a WhatsApp group or a social, but it's important to have that support.
An interrupter, that's almost what a bystander needs to do, is interrupt the situation. Coming up and going, do you need help? And I don't think any of us are asking a bystander to come in and do kung fu and knock the people out.
We're not asking people to put themselves in danger, but the simple things of just going and standing beside someone, just recognising, or after they've experienced something in the community, just going, hey, are you okay?
I think it's not just turning up, as someone once told me, to the party. It's not just turning up to the action, it's actually to make sure in the everyday spaces of our lives we're saying something around the dinner table, in our workplaces, in our community organisations, in our sports clubs, even in our churches.
And the more we unite together, the more we will push away the negative commentary in communities. So it's up to individuals, it's up to businesses, it's up to government to have a consistent message and approach, so that we can unite as one community.
Don't be scared to ask questions. Don't be scared to educate yourself, Don't be scared to, you can make mistakes.
We all know it exists. We all need to support people. We need to support each other. And we need to make sure that we can direct people to places where they can report what's been happening, because the last thing we want to see is people just keeping this to themselves.
In Lutruwita, we have one of the oldest living cultures in the world, and we have so many stories and so much knowledge to share with everyone. Where we've battled racism for so many years, and we have so many stories to share about that. And I just think that, a lot of our knowledge could really help improve situations for Aboriginal people and for people who are oppressed.
Your one sentence can break them. Be kind.